What's going on, guys? This is Umana, your host for the second episode of the Circuit newsletter. And we have Alex Karamanos. I like to mess up Alex's last name. We got Jesiah Jones. We got Tim Jones, our interns. They join us. They do a hell of a job just with covering, article writing, and the scouting. And, we're just going to get off, start off with Alex. He's going to talk about City of Palms as an update on just the first couple of rounds. Quarterfinals was a high-level matchups, especially when you talk about Wheeler and Corona Centennial. And he's just going to break down, what's been the biggest things going on in grassroots basketball.
Yeah, so, first I want to talk about, our week 4 national rankings a little bit, give an update on the top 5. Link Academy stays at number 1 with a record of 12-0. Montverde, number 2 with a record of 7-1. Prolific Prep moves to 3 with a record of 12-0. They've been playing really, really good, actually. Trey Green just had a huge game yesterday. I think he had 36 points and missed 4 shots. So he's playing really well. Paul the Sixth moves to 4. They are when the rankings came out, they were 6-0, but they've played a couple games at City of Palms and won. So they got a good one. They got a good matchup today. And then we got Duncanville at 5, 11-0, and they just picked up another 2 big wins at the Hoop Fest in the Bahamas. Besides that, we got guys like Sunrise made a push. They're back at 8. My sleeper this year, and I was thinking this from the beginning of the year, is Ematep Charter out of Pennsylvania with Justin Edwards. They're 6-0 when the rankings came out, but they just picked up 2 big time wins at City of Palms too. They're actually playing in the semifinals today. That's a little update on the rankings. If anybody watching this wants to check out the full 25, they're on the seasonticket.com. Post-grad rankings will also be coming out soon. We'll do a top 10 of those for post-grad teams. So those will be in soon. But going into my topic now, the City of Palms kicked off, and it's been really exciting. Some of the best teams in the country are there. Like, we got Stepanak from New York, we got Lake Highlands, Newton, Wheeler, Ematep Charter, Paul the Sixth. There's a bunch of teams there, and some really good matchups as well. Talking about the first day, Friday, we had Vashon out of Missouri versus Archbishop Stepanak. Game came down to the wire, but Stepanak pulled away late. Boogie Flan, 5-star in the 2024 class. He led Stepanak with 24 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals. Vashon had some dudes too. Kennard Davis, he's a 2023 guard. He's been playing really well for them. He finished with 13, 5, and 2 against Stepanak. And then they just played Isidore Newman, and he had 17, 6, 3 assists and 2 steals. So he's been playing really, really well for them as well. Then we had another huge matchup, Lake Highlands versus Newton, but I'm not going to speak on that. Jesiah is going to break that down a little bit. That's probably been the matchup of the event so far. So Jesiah is going to speak on that in a little bit after I talk about the rest of the games. Jesiah will get into that. Then we had North Laurel, who's got, Reed Shepard, 4-star, going to Kentucky. They played Charlotte out of Florida. And, Reed's been playing really, really well this event. In that game against Charlotte, he had 28 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 steals. Then he had 20. And then in his second game, he had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. Then third game, he had 26 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. So he's killing it right now. And, from the games that I watched on the stream, he's getting to his spots, and, he's making shots, which that's what Reed Shepard's known for. He makes shots. Next game, it was Wheeler versus Tampa Catholic. Wheeler, top 5 player in the 2023 class, Isaiah Collier, and they got his future teammate at USC, top 50 kid, Arrington Page. They're both at Wheeler, and, Collier led Tampa in the win over Tampa Catholic. He had 16, 5, and 8. Then Arrington Page had 16 and 8 as well. So, that's a duo right there that, we'll all be keeping our eyes on for the rest of this high school year and then going into their freshman year at college at USC next year. Saturday, then there was Ematep Charter versus Isidore Newman. Ematep Charter blew them out. Justin Edwards went nuts, 25 points, went 8 of 11 from the field, 2 rebounds and 2 assists. He had a crazy move where he's left-handed, he's driving left, Euro steps, goes behind the back, finishes. So that was real tough. We have him ranked number 1 in our 2023 rankings. I'm pretty sure we're the only people that have him ranked 1 throughout all the scouting services and ranking services throughout the country. We're the only people that have him 1. And, I really believe that he is number 1 because, 6'8" lefty, can shoot it, can score. He's just got that body of a pro. If he puts on 10 pounds of muscle, he'll be ready to go. He's going to Kentucky as well, so Coach Cal will get him ready for that. Then Paul VI played, Canterbury, blew them out 76-27. Centennial out of California played Winter Haven at Florida, beat them 61-58. Aaron McBride's been playing really, really well for Centennial. Bigger kid, averaging close to a double-double right now. Also, Mike Price. I forget what high school he went to last year, but I know he played with Shy for Greatness this summer. Real shifty guard. He's been playing really well for them too. And obviously Jared McCain is, shooting the ball like he shoots it and, doing what Jared McCain does. Moving on to Sunday, Link played St. Francis out of Maryland. Link came out with a 68-64 victory. Elliot Cadeau had a good game, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. As we all know, Elliot Cadeau is a great passer. Elliot Cadeau is averaging 8 assists per game right now, which is insane. So he's averaging 8 assists, so he's been playing really well. First semifinal game was Sunday, and that was Stepanak versus Ematep Charter. Stepanak was up the whole game, and then, Ematep made a push at the end, and Ramir Barno had a game-winning layup with a second left to give them the 46-44 win. So they'll be playing. So Ematep Charter is now playing in the semifinals tonight. Monday, we had another quarterfinal game. We had Paul VI versus Lake Highlands. Paul VI ended up winning in overtime, if I'm not mistaken, 64-58. Darren Harris played well, 2024 kid heading to Duke. Trey Johnson, did what Trey Johnson does. He scored. He got a lot of shots up. But Jalen Washington, Quentin Perkins has been, playing really well for Lake Highlands too. So, but they ended up coming up short. Then we got a chance to, see Cameron Boozer play. Columbus played Myers Park. And, Cameron Boozer went out there and did his thing. Had a double-double, 19 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals against Myers Park. So that was a quarterfinal game that they won. And, the last quarterfinal game of the night last night was, Centennial versus Wheeler. And, Arrington Page stole the show on that one. Pretty sure I'm pulling it up now. Yeah, Arrington Page had 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And Isaiah Collier had 16, 8, 6, and 2. So they led that charge with a 57-53 win. They're moving on to the semifinal. So, we got a couple good semifinal games today. We got Paul VI versus Christopher Columbus. Paul VI, they got Deshaun Harris-Smith going to Maryland, Darren Harris going to Duke. They got Isaiah Abraham, another team takeover kid. He just got offered by Tennessee yesterday. He's solid. And then, you got Christopher Columbus, obviously, with the Boozer twins. So that'll be a good one. Second semifinal game is, Ematep Charter versus Wheeler. I think this is they kind of match up well. Wheeler has Collier and Arrington Page. So Collier will probably be matched up with, if I had to guess, probably like Ahmad Noel or Ramir Barno. They're two very solid guards out of Philly. Both played for team final. And then, they got Justin Edwards as well. And, Wheeler's got Page and Collier and Jelani Hamilton. So I think it's going to be a solid game for the semifinal. And, the fifth place semifinal tonight, too, is great, too. We got Lake Highlands versus Centennial, which will be a good one. Trey Johnson versus Jared McCain. And then, Wednesday's coming up. That'll be the championship tomorrow at 7 p.m. So, yeah, that's all I got for City of Palms. It's been a great event. We've been covering it real well. I've basically watched every game, and, it's high-level talent. That event's loaded every year. So looking forward to this tonight and tomorrow for the, the semifinal and the final.
All right, Alex. That was a good just recap on just the first couple of rounds, and I thought it's and correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this is kind of the setup. People thought this was going to happen. Obviously, Corona, Centennial, and Wheeler could have gone whichever way.
Mm-hmm.
Lake Highlands was some close ones with Newton. I thought Newton probably could get Lake Highlands, but I feel like the bracket's kind of gone with how people expected going to semifinals.
Yeah, that's what everybody wanted. I think these are the matchups that everybody wanted too. It's not obviously everybody wants like an upset somewhere, but these teams are really good, and I think they're going to be great games, tonight and tomorrow. So we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm gonna put everyone on the spot a little bit. Who do y'all think wins it? On Wednesday. Who comes out as champions of the City of Palm?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Ematep Charter. Mm-hmm. If they beat Wheeler tonight, they're gonna win it. But that's gonna be that's a challenge in itself, right there, is beating Wheeler. But if they beat Wheeler tonight, they'll win the championship tomorrow.
Jesiah?
Yeah, I would go with Wheeler. Usually when it gets down to like semifinal play, I try to go with like the guard that I trust the most, and right now that'd be Collier. So, yeah.
I'd say Emotep too. I think they got the best player there, and a lot of times that'll do it for you. So, I'm a fan of Justin Edwards and that team.
I do like Justin Edwards. I do agree he's the best player there. But I'm going to go with the best team, in my opinion. I think that's Paul VI. Just really well coached. A lot of those guys played together in the summer. They just really know each other. I'm going to go Paul VI. This thing, because when you get to semifinals and finals and it gets close, those guys is routine what to do. So I'm going to go with Paul VI. I think they're the best just overall team and had the best chemistry. But I do agree with y'all. Emotep, Charter, got the best player, and they're really rolling right now, like Alex has been talking about. So it's gonna be interesting to see. But I just want to get y'all thoughts on who wins this, because it's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So now to me, I'm gonna break down Bahama Classic, Bahama Hoop Fest. Glenn Smith, did something that people didn't think he could do, actually have a basketball event in a different country, right? Hoop Fest, Thanksgiving Hoop Fest has always been known just for in Dallas. He actually started out I think at UTA, then got it to Duncanville High School, and then then he added the Texarkana Hoop Fest, and then he added our Red River Hoop Fest. I want to be technical. Right on that. Then Utah. Now he's at Bahama, and we had some good games. Roselle Catholic, who I believe we had in the top 5 in our rankings last week. They played Duncanville. Sunrise Christian was in that event. They played Oak Ridge, and then they played Roselle Catholic as well. Duncanville had 2 close games, so it was a really good set of games that was available that this past Friday, Saturday. Duncanville beat Roselle pretty handily, 73-58. Just overall good team win. Really got to talk about Caden Edwards and his emergence. It's onto the middle of the season, 225 kid. He's a guard. Wasn't shooting it great like in the preseason. I know you say preseason, but it's like still like preseason, early in the season, was real streaky. He's a better shooter than what he was showing. And now I think he's getting adjusted to the physicality and the speed of the varsity game, especially at that level. And he's really become someone that's spacing the floor out. And that was something that was going to be in question with Duncanville. Obviously, you had Eric Demings as a shooter, a player that hit a big-time shot for them to beat Montverde last year. But other than that, like Ron Holland, he can hit open shots. KJ Lewis can hit open shots, but it's not really, I would say, a strength of both of them like that. Like, that's not the primary go-to. So when you have a guy like Eric that can shoot, and now another bigger type of guard that can really, like Caden Edwards, who has a quick triggering, can score like that, and he's defending. I think what's keeping him on the floor as well is that he's defending. And he's been a big help for Duncanville. Cameron Barnes, again, we talked about him in the last episode, averaging 10 points, getting close to 10 rebounds, getting a couple blocks. And not even if he gets 2 blocks a game, I mean, we don't talk about how many shots he's altered, right? So, they had a big win against Roselle. Then they had Oak Ridge, and it took a game-winning layup by Ron Holland to beat Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge is a tough group. Don't really familiar with too many of the players on there, but like just watching some of the game, I was just like, yeah, these guys, like, it's tough. Like they're well coached. They execute their game plan. They defend. They make life tougher for their teams. I mean, even though they went 0-2, they gave Sunrise a challenge, and they gave Duncanville, they were right down to the wire. Talking to Roselle, obviously got Wiltshire. You got the 220 for wing. I don't want to botch his name. But
Mbako going to Duke.
Yes. Talented group, and they have other set pieces. It's hard when your first 2 games of the season, 2 teams that are, you could say, top 3 to 5 caliber teams. One team, we'll talk about later on, maybe, really could be number 1. Mm-hmm. And they've already played 9 games. One's played 9 games. The other one's played 8 to 9 games. And when you're Roselle, I know they were getting ranked high. And I know in New York, sometimes those seasons start a little later. It's hard to go in and, play those 2 teams off the bat, really hard. And so I don't take their losses as such a hit for them. And I think Samad, when he did the rankings, I think he felt the same way. Yeah. But I am interested to see what they look like, next month, or, just they's got to get more games under their belt. But that's like, I don't know. It's been a while, Alex. You know better than me. Just a team's first 2 games of the season being that, while a team has played more than a handful of games. I haven't really seen that. So I didn't really expect a whole lot out of them versus those 2 teams. And, now going to Sunrise was good. Mm-hmm. They're steady. Coach Luke does a great job with them. Matas is fantastic for them. John Ball, they have the wing. I forgot his name. He does a hell of a job, just like a versatile, just do it all utility type guy. Blocker's been coming along, being solid. Middleton, very good, making shots. One thing about this Sunrise group, they really use their length, especially on the defensive end. When Bull, Matas, Layden has long arms for a guard his size. I just think they're just really disruptive on defensive end, just using their length to intercept passing lanes and alter shots, and just blur the passing vision of opposing teams. I just think they're not as good of a team as they had last year. I don't think they have just that MFer like Grady Dick, and we're talking Grady Dick, who's at Kansas, and he's killing it and potentially a lottery pick. So I mean, that's what they don't have on this year's team. I mean, Matas is really good. He's gonna probably be a pro, but they don't have that. They're not like last year, but I still think they're doing a really good job, and Coach Luke's doing a good job trying to maximize what he does have and the personnel he has. So Bahamas Hoop Fest was really good. Now I was in New York. I was in Alex part of the country, and went to CBS event. Watched that. It was good basketball. Watched the first game with Ohio State, and No, you said Ohio State played. Who did Ohio State play?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I'm tripping, guys. It's early. I just flew back last night. I'm gonna forget some stuff, but that was really good basketball. Obviously, Kentucky, UCLA played the game after. But going to high school hoops, I got to see Christ the King and Cardinal Hayes, and that was my first New York high school basketball, like scholastic basketball game experience, and it was dope. Like the atmosphere was great, and people were there just for the basketball, right? You have Cardinal Hayes, who has Ian Jackson, and Elijah Moore, who's really coming along, who made a big splash at the Thanksgiving Hoop Fest with a 30-point game against Pinkston. And Christ the King, when you talk about, Kai and Anthony, who really doesn't play a whole lot, but you see where the upside is.
Oh, yeah.
Carmelo Anthony's son, Brandon Williams, UCLA commit, he's a beast. Ken Payne, 224, who I don't think people talk enough about. And I just think they have a lot more. They have other pieces. They have the kid that's going to St. John's. He didn't play.
Brandon Gardner.
Yeah, Brandon Gardner. He didn't play. But, it was a good game. It was 33-30. Brandon Williams hits a half-court shot to make it 33-30 going to half. It was a good game. Ian Jackson was getting wherever he wanted. Elijah Moore kind of struggled, shooting the basketball. But, Cardinal Hayes went toe-to-toe with Christ the King. And then the second half, they got outscored, I think, 43-18.
Yeah, something crazy.
And it was, that was all she wrote. And actually, no, 45-18. 45-18. So, that was the ball game right there. Again, Brandon Williams, I know he's a UCLA commit. I don't want to say he's under the radar guy, but a 6'8", 6'9", thick body frame, really is learning how to space the floor and score. Obviously, he is an interior presence, like as a slasher, like finishing, using his size to go through contact and score. But he was shooting it well, stop and pop, like attacking the closeout, 1-2 dribble pulls and everything. I was like, I was very impressed with him. That was my first time seeing him live. And I was like, man, this kid's going to be really good for UCLA. Like, he has like a college-ready frame, but like imagine him with a college strength and conditioning program, like in the summer, when those guys go in June. I'm going to be very interested to see what type of impact he makes as a freshman, because I think he'll see the floor early.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Payne, 224. I think he's, high major forward wing. Obviously, he plays like the center position for them because he's the tallest guy, but can shoot, can put the ball on the floor. He has a lot of toughness. He goes to rebounds. Most, people have this perception, I feel that, like, of Asian Americans when they come to the States, like of maybe being a little softer, but everyone that I do see play hard. Like, he really goes rebounds in traffic. He gets after, he blocks shots, he'll talk his shit, I like him. Like, I'm like, man, I really like him. I know they struggled against Sierra Canyon, Christ the King did. But, if this is the type of team that they have, I think we'll be talking more about Brandon Williams. I think we'll talk more about Ken Payne. So I was really impressed with Christ the King. Cardinal Hayes with Ian Jackson. Ian Jackson, the highest rated player on the floor. I thought Brandon Williams had the best game overall, but I thought Ian did a good job. He's a creative ball handler. He gets to the paint, whenever he wants to. He can pass. I like that he rebounds, so he can manage the pace and he can push when he wants to. Mm-hmm. I just like this ability to create space and score. The shooting isn't, people say questionable or streaky, whichever one it is, but I think Ian Jackson, he's a player. Like, obviously we all know he's a player, but I liked how he went and rebounded and push pace. I like that he's trying to find his guys. Even though Elijah Moore struggled, he still was encouraging him when he was missing some shots. And I think Elijah still made about 3 or 4 threes, but it just, he was missing open ones he normally makes. One thing about Cardinal Hayes, I know they kind of been struggling this season. They do get stagnant when other teams make runs. And so hopefully, as time goes on, as they, get more into their conference and everything like that, those guys just really start listening to the coach and start executing. is a tale of two halves. Literally, the first half they were running their sets, getting whatever shot they wanted. In the second half, it was like they just went away from what makes them successful. And I think that's really been their problem going into the season. It's just when adversity hits and the team makes a run, they start going away from what works.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, but still, like you talking about Brandon Williams and Tim and Jesiah, feel free to talk on this too. I think Brandon Williams is like not talked about enough.
Yeah,
like,
he gave it to Sierra Canyon.
Yeah, he killed Sierra Canyon, and he's like you said, Ani, like bigger kid, muscle, like you said, that's what me and you were talking about on the phone. Get him in a college strength program, and he drops a little bit of that baby fat that he has, and that's all muscle. Like he's going to destroy at UCLA his freshman year because he's got it all. Like a kid that I kind of really like compare him to, that we also talked about on the phone last night, is like Bryce Sensabaugh.
Mm-hmm.
He's built literally just like Bryce Sensabaugh, and he plays just like him. And Bryce Sensabaugh looked like a first round pick against North Carolina.
He's like a lottery pick.
He was killing. So that's my comp for Brandon Williams, and like that was what we were saying. We watched Bryce Sensabaugh at our event in Vegas 2 years ago with the Florida Rebels, and he was a little overweight then. And now I look at him now. He got into that college system at Ohio State, probably lost 15 pounds, and he's more athletic than he already is. He's moving better. I think Brandon Williams does that when he gets to UCLA. He's going to have a really successful freshman season.
I agree. I think he'll shock people how good he is.
Yeah.
He'll be one of those people you'll see on boards potentially going to that 2024 draft. Now I'm not saying it's 2024. He'll all that, but I think you'll see his name. Like you'll see him as someone that could potentially be one of those guys. Let's go with Jesiah. Jesiah, you want to cover the Newton versus Lake Highlands game, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. That was a good game. Went down to the wire. Little things is the reason that Lake Highlands advanced in that game. So just break it down to what happened.
Yeah. So going into that game, you had the two superstars who were the kind of the talk of the game overall. You had Trey Johnson going in, averaging about 24 points a game, and then you had Stephon Castle averaging about 27 going into this game. So you get into the game, and the matchup's going to be there between him and Castle. The thing that I noticed about Castle this game in particular, he really has a little bit of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to his game a little bit, in terms of he can't really blow by you, but his change of speed, change of direction is so hard to gauge that by the time you find out what's happening, he's kind of already at the rim. And he's 6'6", so he's finishing above you, and you're just like, well, what do you want me to do, type thing. So he had a very well balanced game between 15 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. On the defensive end, he had 3 steals and 1 block, 5 turnovers, probably a little more than he wanted. Didn't shoot well from the 3-point line either, 1 for 7, but obviously we know the shot is there for him. But I mean, he just affects the game in so many ways that he's gonna be such a player at UConn. They've been great already this year, UConn, but next year they're gonna be a must watch. So he had a great game. Trey finished with 27 and 9 rebounds and 3 assists. He did what he does. He got buckets from all 3 levels. I think Derek said it on the Under the Microscope podcast, he has the best bag out of anyone probably in high school basketball right now.
Yeah.
At that size, I would say, there's smaller guards with better bags, but those they need that. So Trey at his size is just, him and Jalen Washington got to the free throw line basically at will, and that kept him in the game. The pressure that him and Jalen put on the rim. I talked about Washington a little bit in the last podcast, and he did the same thing this game. He had 19, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. He is just, every game I watch him, he seems to get a little better. He always has at least 2 highlights finishing around the rim, with just acrobatic finishes and just up and under here or taking a bump here and finishing on the other side of the rim. Very, very steady player. And then Quinton Perkins, the other one, he has been like a very calming presence for them as well. He finished the game with 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. He hit 2 threes for them. And he really takes a lot of pressure, like I said earlier, off of Trey and Jalen when they're looking for some sort of other offense because teams are geared up for Trey. He sees a lot of different coverages. So a lot of times Quinton will just like go to open space and then create from there, basically, as a facilitator. Other than the free throw line, the other thing that they did was Lake Highlands did a great job of limiting their turnovers. They beat them in that category. They only had 8 for the whole game. And if you have under double digits as a high school team against a good defensive team, that's kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
The game went into OT, and that's where it got away from Newton. They went 1 for 9 from the field, 0 for 3 from behind the arc. I think Lake Highlands really just locked in on defense and decided that, we're going to get a couple stops here and we can score when we need to score. So that game was everything that I wanted it to be. I got to see the head-to-head matchups. And I'm looking forward to seeing Newton play against who they have again? We just said it.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Like player wise or team wise?
Team coming up.
What are they playing next?
At the City of Palms, who they playing?
Oh yeah, they're playing City of Palms. They are playing. I got the schedule right here. What's today? Today Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. They are playing Tampa Catholic today with Carter Knox, so that'll be a good one. They play hard.
Right. Okay. But on the Newton side of things, and I talked about Castle a little bit, but his 2 guys that he kind of looks to a lot of times to help him out are Jabez Jenkins and Marcus Whitlock. So with Whitlock, I mean, we know he's got a burner. I mean, Whitlock can really shoot that thing. Like he made 3 threes this game. They probably could have used a couple more, but I mean, I don't know what his recruitment's looking like right now, but if I'm a coach and I need a shooter and I need someone who I know is going to play hard, play after play, he's the type of guy I'm looking for. Jabez Jenkins, he went 7 for 11 that game, and he actually carried them through some tough stretches during the game when they needed a bucket. So he had a great game. And outside of that, the next game they played Charlotte, Florida. They beat them pretty handily, almost by 20. And then for Lake Highlands, they beat they lost to John Paul. But again, Washington played well, Trey Johnson played well, and Quinton Perkins played well. So I think both of those teams going for the rest of the season, just forecasting them, they both look like they're going to hover around where they're at now in that same like region of like, I think they're like 7 to 13 in the rankings. And I think they'll hover around there. And by the time it gets to the end of the season, they have a shot to win their state championships. So.
Makes a whole lot of sense. That was, like I said, it was a really good game. I'm big on Stephon Castle and Lake Highlands. Obviously, they got their pieces. I agree with what you say with Q Perkins. He's someone that just plays his role. He's a Division I basketball prospect. I'm surprised he doesn't. I don't think he really has one he can really kind of commit to right now. I could be wrong on that, but really, really dynamic on the ball, but can also play off the ball and shoot and score. He had a good summer with Dallas Showtime. I just think he's a kid that's kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit. Smaller guard, high school, and not such a great 223 class, but I think the 223 class has more depth than what people want to, than is perceived. But I like Perk. I like him a lot. I think, the schools should really start like recruiting him more. But he'll get what he wants by the end of it all. So, but that was a good recap right there. Tim, you're going to give us a preview of the Chicago Classic Part 2. So let's hear about it.
Yep. Last time I was on, I talked about the first Chicago Elite Classic we had with a lot of the top teams in the state and some out of town powerhouses that came to Chicago. But this time around, we got a lot of the same teams. No Kenwood, but Joliet West, Well, first game is Friday, Hyde Park and Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel's hovering around the top 25 in the state. And then we got Joliet West, Sacred Heart. Joliet West, Fierce Brothers. Sacred Heart won 3A last year, 3A state title at the buzzer last year. You guys probably saw that on ESPN. The kid dribbling the ball, fumbled it, turned around and shot it from 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sacred Heart. They got a lot of their team back, so they'll be good. It's be a good matchup. Then we got Simeon versus Whitney Young, 2 of the state's powerhouses over the last 15, 20 years. Coach Rob Smith, Tyrone Slaughter, 2 of the best in the business. Then we got the last game of the day is St. Rita versus Cathedral. With Rita's got 3 4-star prospects, and Cathedral's got Xavier Booker, one of the best big men, one of the best players in the country in the 2023 class. So it'll be an exciting day. That last game is probably the one I'm looking forward to most, because high school basketball now is kind of like guard based, a lot of like heavily guard or wing based, but we got a lot of high quality big men in this game. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup with Marez Johnson, James Brown, and going against Xavier Booker at Cathedral, Michigan State commit. But yeah, I think that game should be really fun. I think Simeon Whitney Young is always fun. Those 2 teams competing against each other, especially at that stage. But yeah, the first one I had a lot of fun at. I'll be there again, and I think it'll be similar in a way. But this is like I said, a lot of the out of town teams aren't there this time, so it's kind of more in-state heavy. So I'm excited to go this Friday.
Yeah. Tim, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Right now, Simeon, they're sitting at ranked 17th in the country.
Yep.
And our top 25 rankings, 9-0 record.
Yep.
You watch a lot of them. What makes them so good? I know they're, real fun, I wouldn't say fundamental, but well-coached team, but obviously there's other parts that go into a team being undefeated and as good as they are. What makes them so good?
Mm-hmm. I might have touched on this a little last time, but thing about Simeon is they don't have the high profile 4 or 5-star guy, like Joliet West, like Jeremy Fears, or Darren Ames at Kenwood, or James Brown, a 4-star at Rita. But they got a lot of guys who I guess know their role. A lot of like 3 2-star guys, Jalen Griffith, Sam Lewis, Reuben twins, they've came a long way in the last couple years. But I think they're really disciplined. I think the pieces on that team fit really well. Starting off with Jay Griff, just a leader, a veteran point guard, just savvy with the ball in his hands, can make any play, make any read, make any pass. But they, like I said, they fit. They got Sam Lewis, who came in as a transfer, can shoot it, attack the rim, strong, physical. The Reuben twins do their job. Miles is more of a defender, lead defender. West is kind of more of a, like a little better scorer. Can pass a little better feel on offense. But the guys like Michael Ratliff, who you probably don't hear about too much. He just plays his role, defends. Can hit open shot when you need it. Steve Turner, he's big, rebound, plays defense. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think they're just well coached, disciplined team, and it works for them. Rob Smith is, like I said, one of the best to do it, especially in the state. There's probably nobody better. I think he's got 4 or 5 rings, Jesiah, maybe 6.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say 5 at least, maybe 6.
Oh.
No, he won. Yeah, I think he got 6. I think he won 4 with Jabari. Jabari won 4 in a row. I think Rose got 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, they haven't won since Jabari. So I think this is probably the year. They should have won it last year, downstate. I forgot what happened. I think they just turned the ball over against Metamora, Ethan Kaiser, and that group. That group is good too. But yeah, they're probably my favorites for 3A. I think they should. I think they should win it. And it's also Coach Rob's last year. He's retiring after this year.
Oh, they gotta win for him.
Yeah. So
Got
I
it.
think that's probably goes into it too. You know,
Yeah.
it means a little bit more. You know, some bigger than themselves to play for. But that group's really, really, really good. Like they have more talented teams in the past. 2018, Talon.
Yeah, I was gonna say they should have got one with Talon for sure.
Yeah, that team was so talented. Talon, everybody knows Talon, Xavier Pinson.
Where's he at now?
He's at New Mexico State.
Yep.
With a lot of those other Chicago guys. But they've had more talented groups in the past, but I don't know. This team, I just like the way it fits.
Yeah. One more question for you. You know, you talked about that nightcap game of St. Rita and Cathedral. You know, I think the matchup everybody, you know, wants to see is Xavier Booker versus James Brown. And, you know, from what I've seen, and I know, Tim, you got a better eye on it than I do, Rita's kind of picked it up. I see they've, you know, had a 50-point win, another win. And, you know, James Brown has been playing good. You know, I know Tom Izzo went and watched them play, and he had a double-double in front of Izzo. You know, what is your prediction on that game? And, you know, how do you think that game's going to unfold?
Yeah, like you said, Rita's been they've been playing a lot better, especially since that Simeon embarrassment at the first Chicago League Classic. They've picked it up. I think they're figuring out how to play with each other. Excuse me. Nojus has been great.
Yeah.
Nojus has been great.
That's my guy.
He's so skilled, so tough. But I think I said this last time too. A lot of the guard play wasn't necessarily there. But it's starting to pick up. Nashawn Holmes, my guy. He's been playing really, really well as of late. But Cathedral, their leading scorer is actually a football player going to Purdue. Jaron Tips, I think he's averaging probably 17, 18 points a game. So that'll probably be I mean, we know Xavier Booker, but like he might be the key to the game at the end of the day. And Rita kind of plays a lot of zone, so I'm not sure if they'll guard him man. But if they do guard him man, probably Nashawn be the guy to guard him. Competes on that end, about 6'3", 6'4", can really defend. So I'm definitely excited to see that game, to see that matchup, because we know the bigs, but I think it may not even come down to that at the end of the day. The bigs may cancel each other out, you know, and it'll be everybody else.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question? I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah, you answered him. One last question: who wins?
I'm gonna go Rita. Go with my guys, man. I think they've been playing a lot better. I think the Brother Rice win about, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
I think that was big. They needed that. Rice isn't as talented, obviously, but they're really, really, really well coached, disciplined team. And Maya Henderson is one of the best players in the state. So to beat a team like that, a player like that, I think they've picked it up. Another quality win a couple days ago against DePaul Prep, another really well coached team in 2A. But I'm gonna go Rita. I think they're picking it up. The guard plays, you know, getting a lot better. Guys are stepping up. Nojus is being Nojus. James has been playing better, but Moraes is he's been the most consistent player on the team the whole year. He just brings it day in, day out. Always energy, always playing hard. He's gonna get 12 rebounds. It's guaranteed. He's a player. I love that kid. I love his game.
Sure.
You know, now let's transition to the controversial topic, or just a roundtable topic. And you know, for this episode, you know, I just feel that Duncanville resume in the lost tapes that Alex will have to tell you about, that we talked about, they were 9-0. But they added 2 impressive wins against Oak Ridge, against Roselle Catholic. I just don't see why Duncanville's not number 1. Obviously, do they have a roster that looks like a Montverde or a Sunrise or a Linkier? No. But there's not a team that's 11-0 with the wins that they have. You go from San Antonio Brennan, who was ranked number 3 in 6A at the time. Roselle, you got Oak Ridge, you got Columbus, you got Corona Centennial. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, from tough game to tough game to tougher game to don't have a chance. People are like, oh, they can't go undefeated in this stretch. And I also want to take account of, this is a team that's doing this, and Neiman Ford's done a hell of a job with this group, but they don't have David Peavy. They got told that they could, the superintendent said that they can't play in the playoffs this year. So with all that going on, a team like them is 11-0. And so for me, I think they're the number 1 team in the country. Yeah.
I mean, like you just said, that 11-game stretch they have, and Ani, you mentioned a couple of games that they won. They got wins over Notre Dame. They beat Notre Dame by 20 almost. Notre Dame's got Dusty Stromer, Caleb Foster, and Mercy Miller, and they destroyed them. They also beat Cardinal Hayes by 11. And did you mention Newton, Ani?
I did mention Newton. That's another one.
Yeah. Beat Newton by
Lake Highlands.
Yeah, beat Newton by 4. Beat Lake Highlands, and probably Lake Highlands. That was at our event, the matchup. That might be the big game of the year in Texas. I mean, Ani, what do you think? Jesiah, I know you're down in that area too. Like that Lake Highlands Duncanville game that we had at the matchup. That if Duncanville was allowed to, play in the playoffs, and that, I think that had a good chance of being the state championship.
Yeah, that was a playoff vibe atmosphere.
Yeah.
Just the game was great, with back and forth. There was a lot going into that game because Lake Highlands in the TABC in June beat Duncanville. And so, you just got 2 heavyweights, fighting it out. And I just thought that was the best game I saw in this, by far this season. Like, I thought that was just because when you talk about players, close game, you just talk about the back and forth, the drama in it, it had all that. That's the ingredients of a really good game.
Yeah. And I think, we got Link number 1 right now, but Duncanville is easily a contender for that number 1 spot. I mean, Jesiah and Tim, what do you guys think?
Yeah. The resume speaks for itself. May not be the most talented, like, collective in the country, but I mean, you can't ignore that resume. So the last time we talked about it, I think they were 9-0. But 2 more impressive wins. It's like, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at all if they were number 1. Like I said, I mean, the resume is probably the best in the country, win for win. So, I mean, if you want to say they're the best, I can't really disagree with you because of the resume. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I think when you look at the eye test, like you guys have been saying, I don't think that they passed the initial eye test. When you look at like a team, like you see them lining, like warming up, and you see Montverde warming up, or Link Academy, or AZ Compass, or one of those schools, and you're just kind of like, they may not have enough players to be able to really go to war with that type of team. But they keep doing it. They keep playing those types of teams, and they keep winning. For me, what I see KJ Lewis and Caden, like those 2 defending on the perimeter is really giving them an edge. Like, I'm 24 years old. I don't know if I could get around KJ Lewis. If I create contact with him, I'm probably going backwards. So that's a grown man. So he's a tough one to get past. And like you said, Caden just plays really hard on defense. So when you got those 2 playing on the perimeter, then you got Ron Holland and Cam Barnes in the middle trying to like cover everything up. That's when you really have a good all-around team defense, and that's really what I think gets them a lot of their transition points. So if it's up to me, I'm saying I'm saying that I still like Montverde. Link Academy has earned it, and I think that Duncanville has a resume. So it's kind of up in the air between those three to me. But I'm gonna still go with Link right now.
Mm.
So
yeah, fair enough. And then talk about defense. Just Evan Phelps, who's going to A&M Commerce. You know, he's usually pegged against the best guard as well. Him and KJ Lewis. So you know, definitely want to talk about him. Yeah, I think his role on the defense end it's been huge for them. He just really kind of disrupts the point of attack with KJ. So yeah, no, you make a good point though. You know, you talk about Montverde, Link, you know, and Duncanville. Like you said, one has the resume, one has the roster plus the record, and the other one's undefeated. And also with Link. So you know, I definitely think they're kind of in that. I would say this compared to last year, I thought there was less teams on tier one. Like, you know, when I go with rankings, even when I go with players like tier one, tier two, tier three, I feel like there's more teams in contention for tier one this year than there was last year. I thought there was more separation. Maybe we see more of that separation going into this next month, but I feel like there's more teams in that upper tier than we've had in recent past. You know, what's y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. There's just so many good teams. You know, you got Link loaded. Duncanville's always going to be Duncanville. You know, who else did I say was in the top five? Paul the Sixth, Deshaun Harris-Smith, Darren Harris, Isaiah Abraham, prolific, who's loaded, might have the best backcourt in the country.
Yeah.
It's in contention, you know, Trey Green, Aiden Holloway, Yves Missy, Tyran Stokes. I think he's a 2026 kid. He's a freshman, and he's playing out of his mind right now. Sunrise, AZ, you know, there's just all these teams are like the starting fives loaded. First three off the bench are top 100 kids. So, I mean, like you said, talking about tier one, like I think out of the top 25 schools, I would say almost half could be in contention for a tier one team, which is insane to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what's wild about it. That's why I was like, you know, in the recent past, I feel like there's more teams that can be contention of tier one type teams. Hopefully, maybe, you know, I like that it's balanced like that, but maybe we see more of a separation going on, you know, towards the, you know, you get into January, February, and then the Geico and all that. And the state, I know they got the state championships now. That was out in Florida. They did that later in March as well. Let's look ahead. What do we got, guys? Jesiah, Tim, what we got going forward, you know, before we end out the year?
I'll be at Pontiac Christmas tournament and the Proviso West Christmas tournament, 2 Chicago area Christmas tourneys, 2 of the best in the state, coming up in the next, I think, week or 2. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'll be hopefully flying to Chicago, and I'll be going to those tournaments with Tim, hopefully. So hopefully my flight doesn't get canceled.
Hopefully not, yeah, because especially at this time of year, that can get goofy.
Yeah.
How about you, Alex?
I'll be at the John Wall Holiday Invitational. You know, shout out Webb and Miles over there at the Hoop State. You know, this event's loaded. You know, Word of God, Combine Academy, prolific. And then you got, you know, Raleigh Christian, Greenfield School, Canton School. Let's not forget, you know, we got Centennial coming from California, Camden coming with Wagner and Bradshaw, Don Bosco Preps coming with Dylan Harper. You know, loaded event. I'm really excited to get down there, hang out with those guys, watch some good basketball, get some good content for the circuit. So, you know, that's where I'll be. Ani, where are you going to be at?
I'll be at the Whataburger.
Whataburger?
It's gonna be a good one this year. You know, just seeing who in Texas wins it. It's always traditionally been a great event. So excited just to go cover it and and go see who wins it. And I'm probably not going to go out of the state, at the end of the year. So Whataburger is going to be my main focus to round everything out.
Cool. All right. Well, that does it for episode 2 of the weekly newsletter podcast presented by the Circuit. We'll be coming back every week with another one of these episodes. We hope everybody out there has a happy holiday and, enjoy the time with their families. And, we'll be back next week with another episode. Appreciate it, everybody.